Right, we're good.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Citizen Police Oversight Commission virtual town hall. And I am so excited about the topic for this evening and the phenomenal panelists that we have. My name is Tanya McClary, and I'm the Executive Director of CPOC, as we like to say for short. But I want to give tremendous shout outs to Leah Grimmage, who was our Director of Community Organizing, and her entire team for putting this event together. And so I just want to acknowledge her and her team, and I know that you all are in for a treat this evening. And so tonight's topic, I also want to acknowledge if we have any of our staff, and I know we have several of them in attendance. So I want to acknowledge the CPOC staff and also any commissioners that we may have joining us this evening. It's always a tremendous pleasure when our commissioners are with us as well as the staff. So shout out to the CPOC commissioners and shout out to the CPOC staff. And so tonight's topic is near and dear to my heart. I think it's no shock to anybody that I'm the new executive director. I think I've only been it for like a week and a half. But one of the constituents that is near and dear to my heart are families. And so I was so excited that I was on board in enough time to help participate in this particular panel because we're going to be talking to mothers. We're going to be looking at mothers committed to change. And so with that, we have three phenomenal speakers. And so I'm going to read kind of just brief bios because we'd be here all day if I read all three of their bios in full. So I'm going to just give you a little bit of flavor of who these phenomenal women are. And so the first one I want to introduce is Dr. Dorothy Johnson-Speight. And she is the founder of Mothers in Charge. And so I have lived in Philadelphia for a really long time. And I remember when I lived here the first time, I knew a lot about Mothers in Charge and was really excited about the work that they do. So not only is she the founder, she's also the National Executive Director. And she was honored to be the mother of Khalid Jabbar Johnson. But at the early age of 24, his life was taken. Not by illness or accident, but by an act of gun violence over a parking space dispute. If you all hear me get kind of teared up or choked up, it's because, you know, I just hate to think of that young man losing his life over a parking space. And so grief-stricken and devastated by this senseless act, Dorothy channeled those emotions into start Mothers in Charge, which is a grassroots organization dedicated to violence prevention, intervention, and education. And in the beginning, from what started as connecting with a small group of mothers dealing with similar circumstances, Dorothy has built an organization that provides support to thousands of grieving families, as well as awareness and violence prevention activities to the public to prevent others from experiencing the pain of a death of a son, a daughter, or a loved one to violence. And so she has so many accolades. I'm just going to lift up a few. She was honored to serve on both the PA Governor Josh Shapiro and Philadelphia Mayor Sherelle Parker's public safety transition team. She's also been acknowledged by the Philadelphia Tribune newspaper as one of Philadelphia's most influential person. And as I said, I could go on and on about this amazing woman. And so our next presenter we're going to hear from is Tamar, Manasseh, who is the founder of Mothers Against Senseless Killings, and for short, the word MASS, just M-A-S. So just get that in your mind, M-A-S. And she's also just another phenomenal woman that I have not had the pleasure of meeting, but I'm so looking forward to hearing from her tonight and learning about her amazing work. And so following the shooting death of Lucille Barnes in 2015, Tamar, a mother of two who grew up in Inglewood and now live in Bronzeville, rallied several other mothers and established MASS. And in the summer of 2015, Manasseh and other parents in the community took to their local corner daily to let everyone know that they were watching. So come on, folks, just you hear her story. She just got together with people and said, look, this is what's going on. And so mass purpose is to put eyes on the streets, to interrupt violence and crime, and to teach children to grow up as friends rather than enemies. And mass primary mission is to build stronger communities through a focus on violence prevention, food insecurity, and housing. And additionally, mass partners to ensure that community members have access to necessary city services, opportunities for education and professional skills, growth, and economic development. And she has some exciting initiatives that I'm hoping that she will share with us tonight. And so I just want to also welcome Tamar. And our next speaker, not our final speaker, I don't want to say our final one because they're going to come to us in the way that they see fit. But our next speaker is a phenomenal woman as well, Charito Morales, who is the co-founder of Philly Boricuas. And so this tremendous woman has been doing phenomenal work. And so I want to read her bio as well. She is an Awak woman from the island of Puerto Rico. She's a registered nurse with a passion to help the homeless and addicts, and she also volunteers for the Philadelphia Health Department. She's not a native from Philadelphia, but for her, Philadelphia means home. This is where she's raising her family, and she's a third generation with grandkids. And she's currently working at Keystone First as a bilingual community health navigator. She is the co-founder of Philly Boricuas organization at Philadelphia headquarters. On a mission is the voting rights and education. She's an advocate for human rights and equality for all, and she collaborates with different organizations throughout the nation and Puerto Rico to fight justice and fair trials in the justice system. And she says, call on her when disaster strikes, because she's going to help you get it together and figure things out. And so, as you can hear just from these brief bios, believe me, all of these men have page-long bios. But I want to stop talking now so I can get to the meat of this, which is hearing from the three of them. And so it is my honor and my privilege to turn it over to my Director of Outreach, Talia Grimmage, who will help us and usher us into the presentation of the speakers. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Tanya. Listen, I am excited to hear from our presenters this evening. Just hearing a little bit about them and the organizations that they lead just has me excited to hear more. So at this time, I am going to start with Dr. Dorothy. Can you just spend some time just talking to us a little bit about Mothers in Charge, how it was created? What would you like us to know about your organization and how we can get involved if we want to continue to support the work that you're doing in this city?
Sure. Thank you. It's an honor to, can you hear me?
We can hear you. You're a little low. Can you turn your volume up?
Okay. I'll talk a little louder too. First of all, I want to say thank you for the privilege and the honor to be here tonight. I've done this once before with the organization, and it's always a pleasure and an honor to be able to reach out to your audience and let them know about the things that are going on here in Philadelphia and across the country with Mothers in Charge. I started the organization in May of 2003. So this year,
I think we're still having a little trouble hearing you, Dr. Dorothy. It's still very soft.
No, you're muted now.
Okay, let's turn it up some more, Ed. Let's see. It's all the way up now, right? Okay, can you hear me now? Any better?
It's a little bit better, yes. Yes.
Okay. So as I was saying, I started the organization in May of 2003 after the death of my 24-year-old son, Khalid. As you heard earlier, he was shot 7 times over a parking space. I had met some mothers prior to Khalid's murder because I guess about 10 years prior to that, I had a 2.5-year-old daughter that died of bacterial meningitis. So I had connected with a group called Compassionate Friends after Carlina's death and had met several mothers whose children had been murdered. So after I had the traumatic experience of Khalik's death, and sometime after being in a very dark place and not wanting to live and all of that, I decided that I wanted to do something with my pain and I wanted to live on a purpose. And so I reached out to some of the mothers who I'd met after Carlina's death and decided that we would start a mission of helping families who have had the experience of having to bury a son or daughter or loved one. And that's how Mothers in Charge was started. We started meeting in a little back room in Denny's. It was just a few of us initially. And then after some time, you know, folks started to hear about Mothers in Charge because there was nothing like that in Philadelphia that was supporting families who had lost a son, a daughter, or a loved one because of homicide. So as a result of us coming together, we started going into the community and really having a presence in the community. And our mission was to really inform and educate folks on the traumatic experience of having a loved one murdered. And so we did school presentations about bullying and all those kind of things. And we taught all kinds of organizations, almost anybody who would listen to our mission and what we were trying to do. And that's how we initially got started. It was more so just really going into the community and having a presence. And we used to wear these t-shirts that had graffiti on them that said Mothers in Charge. And on the back it said Stop the Violence. So people recognized us that way. And wherever we went, we were known as mothers who had lost children and were working to make a difference around the issue of violence. And that became our mission. But as we grew and went on, you know, over the years, we developed other kinds of things that we knew were important to our community. And that included reentry and anger management programs and all kind of things like that as well. I'm going to mute for a minute. As I mentioned earlier, I'm actually in a hospital with a family member right now, but I wanted to, you know, keep my commitment to Leah and be here today. So I might have to jump off here and there, but I really wanted to do this today because it's so important in terms of the women, you know, that are doing this work, you know, and sometimes it's very hard because we touch our own pain because of the experiences that we've had, but to continue to go on and reach out to help others is important. And that's kind of, I think, the purpose of the three mothers that are on this evening.
Dr. Dorothy, thank you so much for sharing a little bit about, you know, Mothers in Charge's inception. And, you know, I listened to you just talk about the creation of it, you know, and you spoke about how you started just being, you said in a back room in Denny's, you know, and I'm listening to that and thinking about now, where if you say Mothers in Charge in Philadelphia, I mean, you would have to look very, very far to find someone who has no idea about your organization. So for so many of us who are working to be change agents, we understand that, you know, success sometimes is measured in inches and not in miles. So for someone like yourself who started with this idea that was small, who has since created this amazingly large platform, what do you say to other people like yourself who are maybe want to create something? How do you stay the course when you start off small, but you have this grand vision for where you want it to be? You have to unmute yourself, Dr. Dorothy, then we can hear you.
I think it starts mainly with building relationships and being involved. It took a lot for us to get where we are. We are like a household name here in Philadelphia. Most people have heard of us. Maybe not everybody knows what all we do, but they have probably heard of us. We would show up any and everywhere. If there was a community meeting, we have a present there with these t-shirts on that everybody could identify us, who we were and what we we're doing. And then I just think that mothers wanting to make a difference, wanting to have a purpose in life because they've lost their loved one. Their loved one has been murdered. I don't like saying lost because they're not lost. We're not going to find them. They're murdered, they're dead. And how do we turn that pain into power? And that's kind of what we've been trying to do and have done pretty successfully. We have a chapter of Mothers in Charge in LA, a chapter in San Francisco, a chapter in Kansas City, and we have several other organizations that are similar with a similar mission that we connect with. So again, it's about relationships, connecting with one another, because there's strength in numbers, I would say. You know, if you're trying to do this on your own, you have a mission to do this and you want to do it, get involved with others who have a similar mission and a like mind, because it's hard to do this type of work by yourself. You need the support of others. You need I guess, the education and understanding of others, and together collectively, you know, you become a real entity that has a purpose. And that's the goal, to have a purpose that you can get up each day and do, that allows you to be able to live after traumatic experience of having to bury a son or daughter.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you
I hope I answered your question.
Yes, you did. And you gave us a recipe. You know, you said turn your pain into power. And I think that is just so important to keep in mind. You know, I feel like not everybody's able to do that, but those who can are able to create just these amazing organizations and opportunities for people who experience, you know, similar tragedies or grief, to come together, you know, for a common goal. And so I am just grateful for all the work that you do with Mothers in Charge. Thank you for gracing us at CPOC with your presence this evening. The fact that you were in the hospital and you're still here with us is just a testament to how committed you are to this work. And I know you have to hop off, but I just wanted to thank you again, Dr. Dorothy, for joining us. And really quickly, anybody who was interested in maybe reaching out to Mothers in Charge to see what you may have coming up this month or this summer, how would they do that?
The big event coming up on Friday, June 28th in Philadelphia, City Hall, Philadelphia, at the Hilton Hotel on City Line Avenue. It's our 21st anniversary. It's going to be an amazing event. This information on our website. If you go to www.mothersincharge.org, you can get more information. We would love to have you all come and support us, and even, you know, somehow we can maybe remain connected to the work that we're doing and support each other. Like I said, there's really strength in numbers when we can collectively come together, collaborate, and things like that. That is really the key to success. And sometimes we don't always agree, but when we can come together and work together collectively, you know, there's nothing that we can't accomplish.
Yes, I agree with you 100%. And so that event is June 28th at the Hilton. 21 years, that is something indeed to celebrate. And I'm hoping that some of the CPOC family can come out to support you at that event. Thank you again for joining us this evening, Dr. Dorothy.
If Michelle.
I think you're muted. Dr. Dorothy, I think you were going to ask if your partner, Michelle, if she had anything that she wanted to add about Mothers in Charge. I think Michelle is in the room. Let's see if we can make her a panelist too. There we go. Hi there, Ms. Kerr-Spry. If you want to unmute yourself, we'd love to have a few words from you about Mothers in Charge and your work with Dr. Dorothy.
Yeah, so I've been a member of Mothers in Charge for 18 years, since the murder of my son. And I am currently the director of programs. And as Dr. Dorothy was saying, we're celebrating 21 years of providing resources and support to the community. And we would love to have you join us. I've put our contact information in the chat. But we do have a host of programs that I don't know if the community is fully aware of, from our grief support, which we are known for, which we provide twice a week. We also have anger management. We also have a reentry program. We have a mentoring program for youth, both boys and girls. We are currently doing an art-driven, trauma-informed program for youth. And so we're working extensively in the Juvenile Justice Service Center. We have a partnership with the Department of Behavioral Health, and we are currently doing a turning trauma into art program. We're currently working with Universal Middle School. And so we have a lot of exciting programs going on and hoping to deepen our reach in the community. Philadelphia is unfortunately experiencing a lot of traumatic events, not only homicide, but just the trauma of being in a city where there are a number of shootings that happen that are affecting our young people as they're traveling to and from school. We want to provide supports for them as well.
Thank you. So I am curious with your art and trauma project that you're doing with young people. Is that something that's also open to just like youth in the community? If a parent or someone wanted to reach out to enroll, is that something they could do?
We are working in cohort. And
Okay.
so if anyone has a place-based program, we come to them and provide the program. We'll work with any number of young people from the ages of 18 from the ages of 14 to 18. We will come to you and provide a program. We have done it in partnership with NOMO. We've
Yes.
done it in partnership with Carson Valley Children's Aid. And so if anyone has a place-based program, we'll be happy to partner with you.
Okay. Thank you so much, Ms. Kerr-Spry, for sharing that information with us. And I believe the email address or the website was put in the chat for anyone that wants to learn more, and keep the date June 28th in mind at the Hilton Hotel,
Absolutely, yes.
the
Yes.
21st anniversary celebration. That is a
Yes.
big deal.
Yes.
So I am going to turn it over to our second presenter. So we did not want to just stay homegrown and talk about people in Philadelphia, because although Philly is an amazing city full of creatives and mothers who are committed to change, it is important to realize that, we are not alone, and some of the issues that we deal with and face in this city are happening all over this country. And so at this point, it is my pleasure to introduce everyone to Tamar Manasseh. She is from Chicago. She is the founder and creator of Mothers Against Senseless Killings, also known as MASK. And I will let her just share a little bit about her organization, her inception, and all of the wonderful things she does in Chicago.
Hi, guys. Thank you for having me. Thank you for inviting me to the City of Brotherly Love. I so appreciate that. And it's MASK, Mothers and Men Against Senseless Killings, because the men would not be left out of an endeavor like this.
Absolutely, I apologize.
Yeah. So we had to include them. And I mean, they are actually some of our strongest supporters and our most ardent volunteers. So I appreciate them so much and the work that they put in, especially when so often you hear about how much Black men don't do in the Black community. So it's really great to have them be so involved in the organization. But MASK, I started MASK in 2014, actually. And I did it because I didn't want to be a mother on the front row. I couldn't be. I'm just not that strong. I could not bury a kid. I just could not bury one of my children. And looking around, I knew that eventually it was coming. I just newly became a rabbi a couple of years ago. I grew up Jewish. My kids are Jewish, bar mitzvah, all of those good things, but they were still Black. And this is still very much a society that kills Black kids every day. And so looking around, even though I thought they were different, the streets don't see no difference. So it was happening to everybody. There were mothers everywhere. All my friends were praying. Everybody was praying for their kids the same way I was praying for mine. And they still lost their children. So it was like I had to seriously do something. I couldn't just pray on it. I had to actually do something. And for me, it is if I can understand a problem, I can fix it. I can do something about it if I can understand it. But I knew that I would never be able to understand it sitting at my kitchen table or sitting in my office. I had to be out there in the middle of where it was happening to truly understand what was going on. My mom was murdered, breaking up a fight, broad daylight, one day on the south side, not far from where I live. And that was kind of the way they reported it on the news. They said that she was in the wrong place at the wrong time. Well, now this is a mother who's breaking up a fight in broad daylight on the street corner. So somehow she was doing something wrong. She was in the wrong place at the wrong time. No. The people who shot her were doing something wrong. They were the problem, not mothers being mothers. That's not the problem. They were the problem. And so if we have a society where our boys are being murdered and our men are being sent to jail, but now mothers are being murdered in the pursuit of doing something motherly, then how do we survive as a people? So we had to do something. That was kind of the straw for me. So a few days later, and I mean, shouts out to people who know how powerful the t-shirt is. We put these neon pink t-shirts on. We went out on that corner where she was murdered right across the street, and we started barbecuing. We started cooking dinner, took all of these women, and we just sat there. And the idea was there's not going to be any retaliation right here. The circle of retaliation stops, because I did not believe that young people would murder a mother purposely. And I wanted them to know, I see you. This shirt is neon pink. I see you. Just like you see me, I see you. And so what ended up happening was we became kind of enmeshed into the fabric of the community, because once you feed kids dinner for free, and they were saying, well, it's free. Why is it free? It's free because you ain't got no money, do you? And it was like, well, why are you doing this? Why are you doing it? Because I don't want you to die. That's why, right? And it was like, people are very used to random acts of violence, but not necessarily random acts of kindness. Random acts of kindness are always so questionable with our people, right? So it was like, I didn't want to vote. I didn't want any money. And it was like, well, she must be the police. That wasn't the case. They didn't know what to make of it, but they kept coming around every day. And eventually it became the safest place in the whole neighborhood to be. No one was getting shot there because everybody showed up there to eat dinner. So what was supposed to be for just that week between the murder and the burial, that was 10 years ago, and we still haven't left. So every summer, 7 days a week, we are out. We cook dinner on that street corner outside so everybody can see it. We feed everybody. So every night we feed at least 150 people every single night. And these people aren't homeless. These are people from the neighborhood who come out to have dinner with us, to build community with us, to build family with us. And I mean, studies have shown people don't necessarily murder people that they know. So it's really important for us to create a place where people in the neighborhood can go that's safe, where they can get to know each other. And the outdoors, this is on a street corner, like a corner, just outside, because people need to be able to get involved at their own speed and as much as they want to be or they don't want to be. Sometimes people want to just stand back and look and see what's going on, but if we're in four walls, they can't see that. And the thing is, it's consistency. It's not an event. This is every single day. So it's not like we do this once a week or once a month, or nope, this is 7 days a week, every day. And I always joke, and it's not even a good joke, everybody in the city of Chicago has my phone number. Like, these people know, everybody knows how to get in touch with me. So what it's allowed us to create is this outdoor community center where people can come and get anything there. They know any resource, because people that you are inviting into the community to come and be a part of, whatever we're doing on the corner that night, if it's karaoke, if it's whatever it is, people are coming from all over the Chicagoland area and the country just to be involved with what we're doing on that corner that day. So people have really become the resource. We've opened ourselves up to that. We've had everything from acrobats to astronauts on that corner. So we've created a place where people come there who have ideas, who want to see, if it'll work. It's become this social justice kind of lab on that corner. So there are a lot of things that we do, but meeting the needs of the community is what we find makes it safer. So at any given moment, if somebody needs Pampers, we have them on deck. If somebody needs food, we have it. If somebody needs a bus card to go to a job interview, we have it. If someone needs clothes for a job interview, we can put our hands on it. So we try to listen to the needs of the community and meet those right where they're at. And so there's really no red tape. There's no, you have to fill out these forms and do this and do that. No, it's here. It's just right here. So during the pandemic, we actually sent the kids, the 12 kids who were the most likely to kill or be killed. We sent them to trade school. and we gave them a stipend to go. And out of the 12, 7 graduated, and 1 went to jail, so they left us with 5. So those kids actually came back and built us a community center out of shipping containers on that corner. And so now we have an indoor and outdoor space. So during the pandemic, we had a pod school where we had at least 30 kids there every single day doing the remote work, because I mean, we don't want mothers being forced with the choice of leaving their 9-year-old at home to watch after their 7-year-old and their 3-year-old because they had to go to work, because they were essential workers. So we wanted to alleviate that burden, so we took them. So every morning they had breakfast, they had lunch and dinner, and we're doing tutoring, and we're doing these remote lessons with you. And we really got to see where they were and how we kind of get you up to grade level. And so we worked with kids a lot. So we really got to see what was really missing in the public school system in the neighborhood, what was really missing. So during the summer after that, we tried to offer more and more supplemental classes. So during the summer, we do everything. We're very strong on math. We're very strong on science. And we are one of the only programs in the country who does a gun safety and gun education class for children starting at 3 years old. So we wrote a book about it. Here it goes. I don't know if you all can see it. Is it blurry? Probably. But
yes, you have your background on blur, I think so.
When I was looking for the filter, yes, of course.
Yes.
Unblurred.
Okay, yes, run.
Run. So the 3-year-olds are learning, see a gun, run. So when you say gun around the block, little kids say run. It's just like stop, drop, and roll or stranger danger, but we want that muscle memory. We want them to know, if I see a gun, I run. I go tell someone. I don't touch it. So we are trying to attack this gun safety problem, this gun violence problem from all different angles. And we found that education is the one that is by far the most helpful and the most successful, next to just not having a gun at all. So they won't put it in public schools because they can't even say the word gun in public schools, but they can do active shooter drills, make it make sense. But we teach that. So on our corner, every week, every Saturday, during the season when kids are in school, we're doing some sort of activity. We're having a giveaway. Everybody knows that that's going to happen. We're constantly doing something with gun safety, constantly. So come summertime, which ours starts June 10th for us, every single day we'll be doing something about gun safety or gun education. And most of that starts with, so I really heard what you said, Michelle, because it does start with mental health. So we are making sure that kids can properly identify their emotions and they learn to talk about their emotions and what they're feeling so they don't go get a gun. So they can tell the difference between anger and sadness. They can tell the difference between fear and anger. So we are really working with them on that. So, and this way, we invite everybody in the summer, the whole family, to get involved in it, because there are so many families that don't understand what goes into creating the problem of gun violence, because gun violence is not just one thing, as we all know. There's all these other issues that conspire to create gun violence, but when you address those, you address gun violence. So that is what we do. Well, that's a little bit of what we do. I don't have all night. Y'all ain't got all night, but that's a little bit what we do. And somebody asked about domestic violence. Yeah, we address that too. We definitely do. So we have a thing that we do at once a month. It's called Girl Talk. So women come there. They talk about their issues. We talk about our bodies. We give out, we make sure kids in the neighborhood have birth control, that they have condoms, that they have all the things that they need to be safe, and that they are talking to us about things that are going on at home with them or their friends or this or that. So we do find a way to kind of create a space where people who are going through domestic violence situations, where they're comfortable with opening up about it.
Tamar, listen, thank you so much for just giving us just a snippet of all of the wonderful work you're doing with Mask. I have a question for you, and then we're going to move to Charito, because we have a bunch of questions for you, for Michelle. As soon as we're done with our presentations, then we're going to get in some good conversation. But I want to ask you, one of the things that I love most about Mask is the fact that you are really fostering and building the village mentality. You know, we say it takes a village, you know, but I'm curious, you know, we have this new day and age, you know, where people feel like you can't say anything to anybody's child. People want to mind their business. They don't want to get involved. So how have you managed to sort of overcome that mood where people are like, you know, yeah, you know, I see kids doing something, I want to say something, but people are really afraid to speak up because times have changed. So how have you kind of moved past that in Chicago to just get people to be that village again?
When people see you all the time, they know that you love their kids. They know you do. When they see you being good to their kids, they do trust you to discipline them because they know that you love their kids. And a lot of times, that's why being outside is so good. If y'all got vacant lots somewhere in Philadelphia, y'all need to get on it. We invite parents to come out with us. And sometimes the very parent that didn't want nobody saying nothing to their kid, they might be the one saying something to somebody else's kid. But they can because we're all here. And when we're in this space, everybody is looking after everybody's kid. That's what we're doing. We're sharing the responsibility when we're here. So everybody, people that show up here every day, they know we are all here for the same purpose, to create a much better community and a much better future for our children. And that's what everybody here wants. And we all are in agreement, and we'll do whatever need be to get us there. So if that means I'm finna smack your son's butt for his pants being off his butt, ain't nobody got no problem with it, because they know it comes from love. And if they go tell their mother, Miss Tamar hit me with a flip-flop, she gonna say, well, what did you do? You had your pants was sagging, wasn't they? Yep, sure was. But it's never any problem because they know that it comes from love. Everything you do has to come from love. It has to come. I told somebody, if I had to rename mask, it wouldn't be mothers against anything. It wouldn't be what I'm against. It would be about what I'm for. So it has to come out of love, out of love. And that is seriously how you get over it. You show people you love their children, and they will trust you with their children.
Okay, so I want you to real quick just think about Mask Philly as a possibility. And we're going to move to
I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about it.
And then we're going to come back and have some conversation with Miss Kears Fry, yourself, and Charito. Miss Morales, thank you for being with us tonight. Please share, you know, talk to us a little bit about Philly Boricuas and all the work that you're doing in the community.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for having me. Philly Boricuas is an organization here in the city of Philadelphia. It was created due to a lot of colonization issues with high crime from Puerto Rico and Philadelphia. Like traveling from the island to Philadelphia was a mission. It was really different for other people who doesn't speak the language. And with that, also mixing with other people from other countries, from South America and North America, right? And they didn't understand what's going on here in Philadelphia. How can I go out and vote? How can I go out and find some resources for my family? How can I register my kids in a school if I don't have an ID? Or they never maybe seen a lot of violence, or they come from cartels, right? So that's what I have. In Philadelphia, Philly Boricuas, we do a lot of works, grassroots organization works. Basically, we encourage the students to get a higher education in their own language also, try to register in schools, find a safe place for them to do homework, also try to understand their trauma. I have a lot of students that cross the border from Mexico, from Costa Rica, Venezuela, other places, right? We don't know them. We don't know their struggles, but we know they are new in Philadelphia, and Philadelphia is gonna become home, right? So a lot of them, they come from gangs or for cartels, and they want it, and they react to violence, right? So they also want to survive in Philadelphia, but we cannot let that happen, because then we're going to have a sea of people with different gangs and fights and high crimes. We already have a lot of high crimes. Now, how can we use that energy? So we use the energy to start planting trees, to create green places for them, safe places for them, finding jobs, create resumes, use the library in the corner, talk to an adult, go to a nonprofit organization. find a work-ready program, find a job, start creating income, because a lot of them comes over here and they stay only with sponsors or maybe with strangers, or they ended up in the system for, for some reason. And a lot of people was not seeing that. Also, I mean, my life, it wasn't been easy. I went through a lot as a Native, American and also Hispanic woman here in Philadelphia. I'm not native from here, and my kid went through a lot of struggles. It was really hard for me to find resources to trust people, especially a female. That I was a mom early age due to circumstances. So how we can also make sure there wasn't traffic? Is somebody doing something to them? How that we can gain their trust? Why they're acting so violence? Why they're acting like this? So I become like a big mom to them, and I started hugging them, finding safe ways in different organizations and churches in Philadelphia. I create groups for them, and we start doing homework. We start cleaning the parks. We start cleaning the streets. We start planting the trees with PHS. We was doing a lot of work ready. We also called shared program. We was providing food for these families, trying to make sure they have something to eat. And we tried to stop the fights in the school and also the violence in the school, but also in our communities. We only have the only 4% of medical health and resources in North Philadelphia. In 92140, for example, is a high crime due to Kensington, right? And Bridgeburg. So how we can get all these kids with all this energy and put them to work and families. So what we did, we are creating leaders, and these leaders go inside the schools and create positive environment, and also take that inside home and talk to the family. Hey, mom, I found these resources. Mom, I'm doing this in the community. Also, justice for people who are encountering situations with Philadelphia police or with the police in general. They don't know why they've been stopped. They don't know why they've been harassed. They don't know what kind of trouble they're getting to. They don't know how to express themselves, or they have also the Constitution protect them. How can you say yes or no? Or what happens if you get stopped? So also, what happens if your family member is murdered? We have a lot of Latinos being murdered and African Americans in our community, and a lot of people have just become silenced. I cannot stand, to see this happening. So what we do, we accompany them to court. We advocate, we help them to understand. We're trying to raise money if they need money for a lawyer, through donations. We support them if they need money for the funeral. So we connect them to funeral homes. Also, if they need to relocate the families, where the fundings come from, where to apply for these fundings. If you don't have money for the funeral, we also connect them to different, fundings for not only Philadelphia, throughout the nation, and they have any disasters and they come to Philadelphia because this is going to become home. We also fund them resources out and inside the United States. Also, I'm an educator. I become a nurse because my brother was also victim of the opioids and opiates in Philadelphia. He was mobile over here with dream that he was going to become clean, that he was going to get in a rehab facility and that was going to help him. But what happened was he basically was trafficked in Philadelphia. He is American, he has documents. So with all his documents, they sold it in the black market. My brother was dead, and somebody even was working with his paper, right? So, and we try to understand why is this illegal housing is doing rehab facilities for these individuals. They don't know anything about behavioral health. They don't have a behavioral health consultant. They don't know anything. They just want them to be clean on the name of God using the faith, but that's not right because they need more than that, right? So now we're going to crowd all my community and my city and the city with all these individuals thinking that somebody's going to support them and help them when in reality that didn't happen. So our job is to make sure that we're finding the resources, try to understand the situation, if they've been trafficked or not, they've been abused or not, if they want to become back, they want to go back home, or if they want to look for rehab facilities or anything they need. That's what we do in different language, not only Spanish and English. We have 17 language, and we connect into the services from the Philadelphia system or outside the Philadelphia system. So basically, that's what we do. That's what I've been doing in Philadelphia.
You're doing a lot of great work, and thank you so much for sharing a little bit about your story too. Just wanted to introduce myself really quickly. Hi, everyone. My name is Jeriana Hernandez. I'm part of the community outreach team here at CPOC. And Charito, I wanted to follow up with what you just said. Thank you so much for being an advocate, especially for the immigrant population that we have here in Philadelphia. I can totally relate. My parents came from the Dominican Republic in the 90s, and they went through that process of immigrating here and getting accustomed and, not being able to speak the language and having a lot of barriers, just trying to, raise a family and just grow up in Philadelphia. I do want to highlight, you mentioned a little bit about what happened to your brother. You mentioned Kensington, and we have heard a lot about what's happening in Kensington, a lot of the initiatives that the mayor has as well for that particular area. So I just wanted to ask, is there anything in particular you would like our elected officials to know? Like, how can we improve that situation while also protecting people's rights, ensuring that they're getting the proper resources to better themselves? We want to make sure that it's not just policing the area. We want to make sure it's a holistic approach. So I wanted to get to know your opinion on that.
Sure, thank you for the question. So I've been working in Kensington with my own group of people. Why? I'm gonna answer you this question real quick and everything else. When it was Mayor Street, then Michael Nutter, then Jim Kenney, we went and knocked on their doors and they ignored us. And that's why Kensington is the way it is right now, because they never put attention, and that was a health issue. And it was a medical issue because being an addict is an issue with health, right? So we was talking to them, we went to prevention point and tried to understand what was happening, why they are giving them needles and not actually exchanging the needles and picking them up from the floors. That was contributing to the situation. That was not helpful. That was enabling the situation, right? So we went to different calls, rehab facilities. We had to, even though I was a decoy, was a prostitute decoy inside this program, for me to try to understand who was doing this, who's getting money, and how can we improve this, right? How we can fix this. So I'm not gonna allow the state representatives' doors, council members and everything, but everybody was for the show. Everybody was just for the video, that they was doing something and making empty promises. My community, we don't want empty promises. We want action. We want to work. We want trust. Also, my mission is to make sure that the people in the community are safe. They don't feel hostage, that the kids can walk freely to school. People can walk freely to go to work and commute. But we got to work together. We got to trust each other. And they got to invite us to the table. Not cameras, not nothing, everything confidential, and work together, because my organization and people from the community, they are joining us. They fear because they live in the community. But we got to work together, and we have to not only listen to empty promises and empty meetings in a big place. We just want to do and work, concentrate in the community, because it's been going on now from, I would say, 2020. And it's not 2020. 1996, it started like this. It's 2024. And it's been a lot of mishaps and not listening to us, especially people who are actually doing the work, providing resources. We do relocations without no money for our own pockets. Everything is out of my pocket, my family's pocket, and people who are willing to donate to get the job done. Why? Because we try to get the help from the city, from the officials, and everything was just a shit show. I wish now this administration understand the issue, not only putting them in prison, because that's not going to fix anything, because at the end of the day, the taxpayers are going to pay for it, right? And they have a disease, they're sick. We got to find them resources, medical resources, understand. Also, we got to relocate these individuals that have come from outside and they don't even have families in Philadelphia. We need to work together and walk one direction together with dignity and respect and trust. If we don't have that, we cannot work together at all. And it's happening before. So as of right now, we in 2019, when I took this to the Inquirer and Netflix intervention and everything, So we have 916 bodies in Philadelphia not being identified. Out of the 900, 277 was Puerto Rican, Dominican, Salvadorians, and we ended up sending the bodies back to, wherever they came from, and, return it back to the families. But everything came out of our expenses because the city didn't want anything to be with. So I wish they can listen to us. I wish we can work together because we can fix that. That has a fix, but we all gotta work together one time for all.
Thank you for that. And if someone is interested in like joining and assisting you throughout this process or donating, how can they do that? Can you just plug in like a website or any social media handles?
Yeah, Philly Boricuas is we have the Instagram. It's just like that, Philly Boricuas, with the black and white flag of Puerto Rico and the Liberty Bell. So it's Philly Boricuas. We accept donations in there. If they want to come and volunteer, they want to advocate, they want to help us accompany a family member to the courts or to the funerals, anything like that, welcome. Everybody is welcome. But everybody has to understand this is not about the money. We don't want money. We don't get money from nowhere. You have to have a mission, a compassion, and a commitment, and also a vision to have a better communities. That's what we work for.
Awesome. Thank you. All right. So now we're going to open up some questions to all of the panelists. So feel free to jump in. We know that this work can be very exhausting, and sometimes you feel like you're fighting and you're not getting anywhere. So I wanted to ask everyone here, what encouraged you to continue going? What keeps you motivated in your field of work?
Can I go? Shall I go?
Yes.
What keeps me motivated is knowing that if I'm not there and I don't show up, people are going to die. That's the motivation. That's like literally people's lives depend on you getting out the bed every day. So that really is a major motivator. I wanted to ask, you said something, and I wanted to ask Talia. Oh no, either one of you. Like, do you guys have a really high unemployment rate too? There amongst young black people in Philly. You guys have that? What I am looking for, what I'm trying to do, what I keep lobbying for, you asked about a holistic approach. I don't do anything, I don't ask the city for anything that I haven't already tried. I don't float any programs by the city that I have not already somehow tested out on the block. Like I said, it's a lab. I test everything first, right? So what I've learned over the years is I give people a stipend, and we don't get money from the city. As I told you, I'm a rabbi, I'm Jewish. And prior to October 7th, most of our funding actually came from the Jewish community. But hey, see what's happening in the world right now. But I digress. But we would use our own money to give people a stipend who would come and help the people that would kind of clean up, help serve food, do this little things, right? Because even if you're giving them a little something, it's still better than a lot of nothing that they already have, right? So those people are the people who invest in your organization working, in your endeavor working out, right? Because they know if you go away, then they aren't going to get what they get, right? So they are getting food, they're getting Pampers for their kids, they're getting this, they're getting that, and you're giving them money on top of it. So it's in their best interest for whatever it is that you're doing to work out. So those are the people that are going to come to you and say, hey, look, such and such, they're into it with blah, blah, blah. And this person said they was going to shoot such and such. You should go talk to them. So those are the people a lot of times that really help you actually root out the problem before it becomes deadly, right? So the thing about it is, I told the police, I said, okay, so why don't we take some of that money from, because every year Chicago spends almost $1 billion, a billion with a B, in paying out lawsuits, like, wrongful death lawsuits, police abuse lawsuits every year, right? So why don't we put less police in these neighborhoods? You pay more people to do what we do. You pay more people to sit on the corner, sit on their porches and watch their community, watch their neighborhoods, help keep them safe. The safer they get, the more they get paid, right? Make it reward based. And people know, you know, if your kids are the ones causing all the drama in the neighborhood, but if your kid might be the one to keep you from getting your check, you're going to keep that kid under control. And I get that it's a sad day when we feel like we have to pay parents to watch their kids, to look after their kids. But that's where we're at right now in the world. Right now, we're making a lot of choices that we don't want to make. We're doing a lot of things that in an ideal world we would not be making. We're doing a lot of stuff like that right now. And I think that this is a necessary, I'm not going to say evil, this is a necessary good. We don't need as many police and we don't need as many poor people. So let's create less poor people, right? By making them not poor anymore because you're giving them a stipend, at least, right? It's less interactions with the police. It's the likelihood drops dramatically if there's less police patrolling poor Black neighborhoods and poor brown neighborhoods. If they're not here, they can't shoot anybody. If they're not here, there can't be any police abuse because they're not here. And I mean, you can train them. We'll call you when we need you. I've been on that corner for 10 years. I've called the police twice in 10 years. And not for anything that was even happening on my block. It was for something that was happening down the street somewhere. Because people are capable of policing their own communities. They really actually are. And so I think that if we found a way to tap into that, if you found a way to take these people who are really poor and say, look, we're going to give you a stipend. We're going to pay you to help make your community safer. I think they would go for that. I think they would go for it. So, I mean, that's just one of the approaches that I'm taking, that's one of the things that I've tried to introduce here in Chicago. But of course, I mean, 45 people just got shot over the weekend. So, I mean, clearly nobody's listening to me. So, yeah. But that's really how I keep where we're at so safe. I always know what's going on because everybody is telling me what's going on. So before it gets to be a problem, I can get in front of it.
I love what you just said. To answer my question, your question is, what keeps us going? For me, is a mission, the commitment, the pain, everything that I see a daily basis. That's what it keeps me going. Also, because I'm raising my family here, and I want to improve the quality of life in Philadelphia, and in general, you know, everywhere. But I'm living here right now, and I want them to be able to walk free. I don't want them to be scared. I want them to feel this is home and this is their community, and they are entitled to walk to that stairs or entitled to walk to the sidewalk and get to from work to school, everywhere they wants to go. Though we are the city of brotherly love, we gotta show that love. We got to show that commitment, but we all got to work together. And that's what it keeps me going. Their faces, their people talking to me, trusting me, and trusting my group of people, asking me for resources. And I'm so humble to find the resources. I move everywhere to go. If I need to find the resources to the family, I don't have no problem, all free, with love. And you know, just follow through the cracks and try to fit them and cover them and make sure that the people can walk through it, you know. And I just don't know if I will ever stop. I really don't know. If I get sick, I'm working from my from iPad right now. I am sick. I'm home. I'm sorry for my voice, but I'm keep working because it's my mission, it's my passion, and I don't know if I will ever stop. And if I am not here, I'm teaching other people doing the same thing. And maybe my body one day will die, but my seed will grow, and I will see all the seeds throughout the nation and everywhere, because that's my mission and that's my commitment.
And just add, on behalf of Mothers in Charge, Charito and Tamar, you know, the passion that comes through this screen is palpable. We can feel it. And I think that's the same thing that urges Mothers in Charge on. Not that I think, I know. We know we're making a difference. You know, the numbers go down every year. We've had a recommitment from the city of Philadelphia to invest in grassroots organizations. We see mothers who were once unable to get out of bed be part of our mission, doing the work, getting out there in the community. We see young people who have changed their lives significantly, think differently through the work that we and other like organizations are pouring into them. We have to remember that a lot of our young people that get involved in violence and homicide may not have had the support of family and community. We're that community. We are that family to them. And we know that if you invest in them, give them a sense of hope, that they will make different decisions. They will give back to the community. Just seeing one, we know it's a trite saying that if we save just one, that's enough, but that is the reality. If we save one family, one young person, one mother or father who has been devastated by the death of their child, we know we're making a difference. And we see evidence of that every single day. We are encouraged every day that there is a difference, there's a change happening in the air. And so we'll keep on as long as we breathe breath. We will be here. We are consistent. We are in operation 24/7, 365 days a year. We're there. And so it has been an incredible experience to be a mother like myself, who didn't think that they could go on, to move forward, to keep on doing the work, because we believe that we are making a difference every single day. We'll say that until there is no more. We often say that we are an organization that we hope went out of business, because there are no more homicides. There are no more grieving parents. And until that day happens, Mother's in Charge will be there.
Beautiful.
Thank you for that
Listen,
amazing
I will-
response. Go ahead, Talia.
Okay, no, I was just going to say, if anyone missed tonight's discussion, this was a night you did not want to miss. Now, we will have our recording, but I am just excited to be here and just listen to the three of you just talk with such passion about the work that you do. It is incredibly inspiring. So my question is to all three of you, because you each service a different demographic in our community. What would you say is the biggest misconception that people have about the population that you work with? And anyone could go first, but
They
I
assume
would
that
just
they're
go
all
with-
gangbangers. They
Okay,
assume they're all gangbangers. They assume people completely have removed the humanity from Black men and Black boys. They are not even human beings anymore, they're animals. And you have to approach them like animals, right? You don't get too close, you don't make eye contact, don't stick your hand in the cage, like it's that kind of thing. And they're not. Like Michelle said, you got to remember, the way that I approach this is all of these young people, somebody tried. There was a mother, there was a grandmother, there was a sister, there was somebody that tried with this kid, right? Somebody can look at my son and say, hey, he's one of the animals too. And I know I've done my best, right? So I refuse to look at anybody else's kid as if nobody tried with them. So I speak to their humanity. I don't want to call you nicknames. What's your real name? What's your grandmama call you? That's what I want to call you. You know what I mean? I want to speak to who you are. I want to really get to know you. And most people don't take time out to do that. But when you start treating these kids like they are human beings, guess what? They start acting like human beings. Once they stop doing that, they don't want to die. And most of them aren't even homicidal. They're suicidal. They aren't homicidal. These are kids that there's no way to live. When you're 20, when you're 18, you ain't got no education, you've been locked up, you got all these felonies on your record, you might have child support, the state suspended your license because you ain't paid child support. How do you make it? So between the police and the streets, either you're going back to jail or you're going to die. Not everybody, that's why you got 24-year-olds out here that look like they 50. 24-year-olds, they call it OGs because they are old. And then at that point, nobody's going to make it to 70 years old living like that. So when you go out and you make a video and you have a gun in the video and you talk about how you killed somebody's brother and blah, 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 you make a whole song about it. Yes, you're going to die. It's instead of suicide by cop, it's fratricide. It's suicide by brother. I know that somebody is going to kill me and put me out of my misery. I just don't have the strength to put the gun to my head and pull the trigger myself. And that is the part that we don't see. We don't see their humanity. And when we don't see their humanity, they don't behave like they're human. They do behave like they are just vicious killers, but they're not. And I mean, they want somebody to care about them. They want somebody to be proud of them. They want somebody to say, you know what, I love you. I want to see you change your life. What do you want to do with your life? They want somebody who cares about whether or not they live or die. And like Michelle, I think that's what, and Charito, I think that's what we all try to give them. We all try to give them that. And so it's kind of like they die for themselves, but they live for us. So, I mean, I think that the misconception is they aren't human. They are incapable of love. That is the misconception.
Yeah, I would totally agree with everything that you said, Tamar. We have got to stop walking past our children as if they're invisible.
Like you scared of them. Like you scared of your own kids.
It breaks my heart. And I have sat on corners and seen a huddle of Black and brown children and adults walk past them as if they didn't exist.
Yep.
And they are more than that. They're better than that. They're
They
bigger
are.
than that. And we have to tell them that. And we're not telling them that. You know, I have to say, I have a problem with the media, because what the media paints is a picture that is a small, small portion of our children. Our
Yep.
children have aspirations, they have dreams, they want to create families, they want to create community. But if you keep on showing me that I am nothing but a homicidal maniac, then guess what I'll become? Because you put that mirror in front of me. And we have got to stop doing that. We have got to balance these stories that are out there about our communities, our children in particular. If they have no one that tells them that they are valuable, that what they're responding to or reacting to is the trauma that they have lived through. Remember, they're children. We create their home lives. We create their schools. We create their city. And if you only show them the negative side of that, then guess what? They think that's all that they can become, and that's all that they are. And so organizations such as the ones that are on this call, and hopefully those that are listening, we have got to do a better job of telling them that the possibilities are endless if we put into them the expectation that they're bigger than what is shown to them through media, and that is across all platforms. So, you know, the misconception that our young people are worthless has got to stop. It has got to stop, because if you tell me I'm worthless, guess what I will become? A homicidal maniac that is feeling like I have nothing to offer the world. And we know that's not true. Some of our most brilliant young people come out of the very circumstances of which we speak tonight. They come out of poor, urban neighborhoods. But if you tell them that you are bigger than what you see around you, and you are the reason why we exist, because we want to be there to support you and lift you up. We've got to start doing a better job of that. And the other thing I wanted to add is that, you know, for Mothers in Charge, because of the name and because of where it came from, the perception out there in the community oftentimes is that we're a bunch of angry mothers who just want to yell and scream. Well, listen, the screaming comes from pain. The screaming comes from pain. But you've heard all of the programs that we do. Those programs are managed and run by those very mothers that have lost a child to the streets. So it's important that they understand that we're here to do the work. We are here despite the circumstances. We are here to do the work, and we want to do the work. None of us have to do this, but we choose to do it every single day. Most of our work is done by volunteers and committed community members and partners that want to see change. So, you know, we have to change the perception, but I really do implore media to do a better job of sharing balanced stories about the lives of our young people.
Thank you. Ms. Charito, yeah. What's the
I was
biggest
going
misconception?
to, I'm gonna piggyback everything they say, but I'm gonna add something that happens to me recently. I have a group of youth in West Philadelphia. They are African American, most of them, and Hispanics in North Philadelphia. And we went out to the suburbs to, you know, the suburbs, the green areas where everybody's living a decent life and they don't have no secrets. So we went to plant trees down there and to beautify their community, right? From Philadelphia to Bucks County and the silent area. And the first thing that we was working, maybe 20 police cars. I think the SWAT team and the canines approached us. Somebody make a call. They were scared because it was blacks and Latinos. They gangbangers. They're thieves. They're gonna come and be here and destroy our community. What are they doing here? Who's following them? And why they went inside to a store to buy some water? And what happens to us? And guess what? The guy, the screamer, Mama Bear, came to the rescue. And I put the stuff right there. And I say, excuse me, we are here beautifying your community. If you feel special, let me tell you something. Get out and do the work. Instead of call the police and lie and use the resources for your life. So you know what? Go back to Philly, come see us, see what we up to, see how we're working hard, see how we're changing the community. We are here and working decently, and you are using the, I'm not gonna say the word, the card, against us. And that happens to us, and I love my kids. They need us. We need to make sure they're safe, make sure nobody labels them. I'm scared. My grandson and my granddaughter are half Latina and half African Americans. And I'm scared they get a place and somebody stop them just because they have a color in the skin and they get shot and killed without doing anything. And they don't have to scare. They don't have to cover themselves. They don't have to be scared to go anywhere because they are just like you and anybody else. But how we change people's mind, how we can educate these people, they don't have that, they have that mentality and they ignorant. So my work is everybody's the same. We all work the same. We want to work the same and we want to have a better community. So I love what you guys are doing and I'm happy to be here. And is anything that we can do to work together to create a safe community, a better community, I'm here. Count on me.
Te voy a llamar, no te preocupes. But thank you so much for that. And I do want to mention, you know, in advocacy and just that field alone, there's a lot of survivors that work in that field. And like Michelle said, there's a lot of pain, but that pain turns into passion. It turns into empowering the community that you live in. So thank you so much for the work that you do. And I do want to ask one final question before we transition to our Q&A. We talked a little bit about the police, especially in your responses. And I wanted to ask, like, how can an agency like CPOC that provides oversight of the department to ensure that they are held accountable, how can an agency like ours support your agency and your mission?
So one of the things that we have been doing, we make it a point to visit every single police district. And we take coffee and donuts or coffee and cake. We make sure that they understand what services we provide to the community. And we make sure that they are armed with our literature because they're out there on the street. We want to make sure that if they find or run across a person or a family in crisis, that they have someone to turn to. We've also been meeting with the homicide detectives to understand what their job is. You know, there are lots of assumptions about them, just like they make lots of assumptions about grassroots organizations. We wanted to understand their process. We need to keep those lines of communication open. And if CPOC can be part of that discussion, we raised some concerns. They raised some concerns about the work that we do, but they were really, really welcoming and had a greater understanding of how we're all in this together. We've got to break down some of these barriers. And a lot of it is simply from ignorance that we don't know what the other side does. You know, certainly we have had some incidents with police where there have been, you know, victims of aggressive behavior from the police. Sometimes that has led into the death of someone that was completely innocent because there is tension amongst community and the police. And we have got to do a better job of that. You know, I'm a big fan of community policing, where these police officers are getting out of these cars and walking the street and the beat that they're assigned to, so that they become a trusted partner and not someone that is only called as a response to something that is a crisis. They have got to get back to knowing the communities in which they work. You know, we hear often that communities of Black and brown people, our manner of communicating, the way that we speak, the way that we show up may seem aggressive. Well, it will seem that way if you don't know us. So when you have somebody that is walking a beat that is not of that community, then the way that we, our excitability, our passion for life shows up, it may be internalized as fearful behaviors. Get to know us. Don't make an assumption about who we are and how we show up in the world. So, you know, we need to keep these lines of communication open. We need the police officers to call us, organizations like us, affinity organization, call us if there is a situation that you don't understand. Call us before what could be a crisis that escalates into loss of life or aggression. Call us to be on site. There are many organizations that have response teams that we can be there. We as a trusted community member can talk down a situation, but don't react on something and towards something that you don't understand. So we need to do a better job of educating those officers that are out there in the community about who we are, how we show up, you know, and so that we have a better understanding of what we all bring to the table. So that's one of the things that I think that CPOC and organizations and arms of the city of Philadelphia can do to better build a bridge and a line of communication between all of our organizations.
I was gonna say exactly that. And also I would like to see CPOC in the community. Maybe the community don't know who you are and what you guys are stand for. What is your mission? What is the statement? And what is it that you guys want to accomplish in the community? And where they can receive that information, right? My community, we don't, and I say we, I'm gonna include myself, we don't trust like that. If we don't know and you guys don't educate us, we don't see you, we don't know you, you guys are not welcome because we don't know. We don't know, you may be the police, maybe you here on the cover, or maybe you want to hurt somebody in our community by doing, you know, I got a lot of migrant community. We have a lot of people coming from every corner of the world and they cannot, they don't trust. And you are going down with a city, official city, you know, vehicle, they're gonna look like they up to no good, or they're gonna provide information to ICE, or they're gonna do something. So, I mean, I would like to educate myself a little bit more about CPOC and how we can contribute and how we can bring you guys to our community and see them and, you know, and start establishing that conversation.
I wish we had something like CPOC in Chicago. I have such a horrific relationship with the police, though. I always tell people we're like, you know, a divorced couple. We used to love each other. We don't anymore, but we stay together for the kids. We both want what's best for the kids. That's the way I characterize our relationship. Me and the police in Chicago, there is no love lost between us at all. And pretty much the mayor, pretty much any elected official. It's weird, but I think that an organization here would be beneficial to the community. I think what communities need is some sort of liaison between the community and the police. Do you know how often the police always say, see something, say something, right? All of this crime and violence, somebody knows who did it, and, you know, the community won't speak up. No, they won't speak to you. The community talks. The community tells you exactly who's done what and why. You know the whole story. Then who do you take that information to? So because you don't have a relationship with the police where you can go to them and say, hey, this is what's happening. This is how this is the proof that I was given, or this is how you can go check up on that. If you don't have anybody that you can go do that with, then it just keeps happening. It doesn't stop. if you say this is how you break the cycle, there's going to be another murder after this one if you don't stop it. And then they don't stop it. People tend to lose faith in the police. So it's kind of like if there was an organization that can say that they trust it more than they trust community work. I mean, I went to the police and told them that, hey, you need to put everybody, all your men, all outside this funeral because it's going to be something bad's going to happen. Do you know they didn't send anyone and 15 people got shot at that funeral? In the end, they did a press conference and said that they didn't have any credible tips. Yeah. So if there was another organization that organizations like mine can go to and say, okay, here's the information that you need. This is what's happening. This is what's going to happen. And this is what you can do about it. If it was an organization that could go to the police, that they did call credible tipsters, that they did listen to, that would be really great. That would save a lot of lives. But I mean, we don't have that here. Maybe CPOC can be something like that, like for people in Philly. Because I mean, I don't know. Chicago, I don't know if Chicago will ever be able to have something like that. But it would be really great if something like that did exist.
Yeah, Tamar, I think in Chicago, they have the Chicago Office of Police Accountability, I believe, COPA. Okay. Okay.
I'm sorry.
Jump
It
in
is-
too and just say, I just really appreciate all this feedback because I think it's going to be really helpful. We're still kind of in our infancy, but I agree. We want to get into the communities. We want to be that bridge. We want to be that. But I want to hear what Tamar was getting ready to say because it might give us some good insight too.
I think that it's disgraceful, the relationship that so many poor Black and brown communities have with the police. It's disgraceful. And I think that not only is disgraceful, it might be unlawful. Because the thing is, if I'm telling you, if I'm giving you two women got killed on my block, we raised $30,000 as a reward. Everybody was coming out the woodwork. It was no problem finding out who actually did it.
Yeah.
And the police wouldn't even give us a tip line. Right? So I think that sometimes the fact that we know how to stop the cycle of retaliation, right? We know how to do it. But the fact that you won't help us do it and it leads to more loss of life, that feels to me like a civil rights violation, right? If I'm saying this is who did it, this is the community, everybody in the community knows they did it. Then they wrote a song about it and they made a video about it. And they said, this is the gun that I killed him with and I'm holding it right here. And you don't do anything about it and then they end up dead. I'd rather you be in jail than dead. I'd rather not make more killers if we can prevent it, right? But that doesn't happen. And just the fact, and even sometimes when people actually do say something, you do need people like you in your organization because sometimes the police will go and tell the people like, you know, such and such said this. And now it's the target on their back. So you betray the trust of the community that you say you want help from. So it creates this really contentious relationship between the people and the police. And it's kind of like with the advent of like social media. Do you know how many people, how many young people you see on social media who have actually like actually came out and talked to the police and the police some kind of way the videos got leaked to the internet and now they're dead because they talked, because that video ended up on social media somewhere? And so it's kind of like you're not protecting my rights. You're actually using me against me. You're using us against each other. You're pitting us against each other. But then at the same time, you say you're here to protect our lives. No, you're not. You're here to protect the people who you actually keep safe from people like us. There is a difference. There's a difference. That's why half of the city is saying we need more police and the other half is saying we don't need any police. Because those are the people who the police make feel safe. They protect them from us. They don't care about what happens to us, though. And so in places like Chicago, that has become so obvious. So when they do like COPA and accountability boards and stuff, that doesn't really necessarily work because so many people have these other ulterior motives. They want to, this is a stepping stone. They want to run for office. It looks really great on their resume, but it's not necessarily so much about helping the people. And to tell you the truth, some people don't want to help nobody because they do believe what they see in the media. And sometimes the only way that you can dispel all the myths and the rumors and everything else, and you can see the truth, is to be out there. But they're too afraid to be out there. You know how many Black people I hear say they aren't coming to the block because those people crazy. I ain't going out there with them. Those are your kids out there. Those are your kids out there. And they crazy and you're not going. But that's where the work is. That's where the work that needs to be done is. So you can't protect them if you feel like they don't deserve your protection. So it is, we are just really in the most precarious of positions here in Chicago when it comes to policing. And, and I'm hoping Philly can fare better than we have here.
I want to pivot really quick to and let your audiences here, and people have been blowing up the chat. I'm sure you can see the comments. You have so much support, but I want to just give our attendees an opportunity to ask a question if they'd like to. But before we go to our attendee Q&A, I just want to lay down a little bit of housekeeping. We're hoping that everyone asks questions that are on topic for this evening, that we refrain from using profanity or speaking disrespectfully to each other. And if anyone violates those rules, unfortunately, we will have to remove you from tonight's event. So now that our ground rules are put out there, if anyone has a question for our three esteemed panelists, we can allow you to ask that question now. And Jody and Danny, you can let us know if any hands are raised or.
We had some in the chat. Do you want to ask those first?
Okay.
Do you want me to ask them? I put them in.
Yep. Go ahead.
So someone had asked, this is for Tamar, someone wanted to know where funding comes from for your programming and was curious about that.
We get very little funding from, no funding from the city. We get foundational grants sometimes. And they're really not a lot, but we get a lot of private donations, a lot of literally they're called high donations in Hebrew because it's $18. So we get a bunch of those. We get a lot of, it's a very grassroots kind of thing. We get a lot of money from people who just believe in what we're doing. So you get a lot of people who send small donations and it really equals to make a big impact. So if there's anyone that wants to donate here, it's maskontheblock.org. You can donate there.
Tamar, can you just explain a little bit? You said they're called Chi donations and it's $18. Can you explain the significance of the number 18 and why people usually donate that number?
Oh, it's life. Chi is a het in yud, and those letters equal the number 18. Life, just life equals 18. So that's why people make these donations. I would have to get into a whole thing that y'all ain't ready for. But yeah, most Jews give in increments in multiples of 18. So that's normally why we get so many $18 donations.
Another question we got from the chat, which I think is for anyone. Do you advise grassroots groups to inform the police precincts when outreach is scheduled in your neighborhoods? I guess it's more of a CPOC question. I don't know if we want to answer that, Talia.
Do we notify the local districts? Can you repeat it again, Danny? I'm sorry.
It says, do you advise grassroots groups to inform the police precincts when outreach events are scheduled in a neighborhood? Okay.
So it sounds like, are they asking, I'm not sure if they're asking, do we tell grassroots groups when they're, planning their own events to notify the local district, or do the CPOC notify other agencies when we're hosting things?
It might be for both.
It might be, sorry, say it again. I'm sorry.
I was going to say it might be for our panelists, whether they inform precincts or not, and maybe for us as well.
Well,
So
when
I'm
we
going to answer.
Go ahead, Charito. No, go ahead.
So I'm going to answer what we do. We don't have a great relationship with the police, but we have people who have relationship with the police. So if we're going to do a protest, or we're going to do a walkthrough, or we're going to do anything in the community to serve the community, We just organize it, and the police want to show up, they welcome. If not, we don't need them. We got our own people in the community, but we have that kind of relationship.
Okay, and I will just say, just piggybacking off of that, Charito, you know, if there is any organization that is planning any demonstrations or something like that, they could reach out to CPOC and let us know. We on occasion do, you know, protest monitoring. We're there just to ensure that, you know, everything is happening the way it should. And when we have our own events, we always, you know, post it on our social media. We send it out to our email list. We send it to different elected officials. And we usually invite the police department to a lot of our events, although there are times and occasions, which I'm sure all of you will understand, where maybe a police presence may change, you know, whether people feel comfortable sharing their perspective, or as Charito said, you know, there may be people with, you know, documentation concerns, and we don't want to have the police there, you know, if that would cause any type of discomfort for, you know, the community. So we do both. We invite the police, we let them know when we're having something, especially if the topic interests them, and we have them speak. But there are times when it's just us in the community if we deem that to be appropriate.
We had another question that was specifically for Charito. Just asking if you could expand a little bit more about your big brother being trafficked and this common issue in Kensington, if there was anything you could share about that.
So you can look up our documentary. It's called Dumping Philadelphia Addicts in Philadelphia, or the Air Bridge. Is really well known as an air bridge. The modality is bringing addicts from Puerto Rico or from other places of the United States of America who has documentation, social security, and birth certificates. They be able to apply for the county assistant office resources. Once they are connected with those resources inside these so-called rehab facilities in Philadelphia, they are being kicked out to the community, while these co-pastors and people who administer these facilities are making money out of their pain and suffering. And also, if they pass, they'll still get renewals in the county assistant office, and anybody else can use the paper in the black market and continue working. That's what's been happening in Philadelphia. It's happening in Chicago, Humboldt Park. It's happening in Orlando, Florida, New York, El Boquete. It's in 17 states in the United States, and Puerto Rico. It's called the Air Bridge.
I think those were all the questions we got in the chat. Let me just double check that I didn't miss any. Oh, there was one for us that said, does CPOC partner with police liaison officers in Philly?
So yes, there are times when we partner with, you know, the community relations officer, the victims assistance officer at different events. We have been very present in a lot of different districts. You know, there are times when we do some youth programming. For example, the 19th district, they had a youth pop-up shop where they had some entrepreneurs and some young people come and set up, you know, their tables to sell things. And CPOC just felt like it wasn't appropriate, you know, to maybe charge young people. So we took care of everybody's vending fees so that every young person could, you know, set up a table. Sometimes we go to other districts when we're invited, you know, and we're present. So we do have a pretty good relationship with a lot of the community relations officers and the victims assistance officers. Sometimes people reach out to us if they have a complaint or just another concern, and we can utilize them to give them, you know, to give the community members resources or assistance if they need to. So I think we are at time. Right now, I think we said 7:45, so we are ending right on time. I do just want to mention that our commissioner meeting is when our commissioners get together and talk about commission business. That is going to be June 4th at 6 o'clock. There's information that's going to be shared about that on our social media. We'll send out an email blast to everyone else. I should say that tomorrow evening, CPOC will be at the Civilian Police Academy. And we're going to be giving our oversight presentation there. And then Friday, we will also be at the Police Academy. Before the recruits graduate, CPOC always gives a lecture about oversight, about the history of oversight in the city, our agencies, and ways that the recruits can work with us before they get their assignment at their districts. So we do that with every recruit class, and we will be doing that this Friday from 2 to 4 at the Police Academy. So before we leave, I would really just like to give our panelists the last word. You know, I want to end with some empowerment and encouragement. So I would just say, Ms. Michelle, you know, if you are a mother that is watching tonight or that comes across this video that may just need a little bit of encouragement to keep going, can you say something to her if she comes across this video or if she's watching tonight?
For any mother or father that has lost a child to homicide, I can never promise you that it will be okay and that you will not hurt. It's a lifelong journey. What I can promise you is that if you reach out for support for organizations such as Mothers in Charge, we'll wrap our arms around you and we'll take care of you as much as you will allow us to do. But it is a journey that will never end. But you learn how to live with the pain. For some, the journey is more difficult because they feel isolated. I never knew anyone that had a child murdered before my brother and my son were murdered. And I felt very alone. And while family and friends say things that with the best of intentions to provide you comfort, I would offer to you and invite you to get to a group of like lived experienced people, because there is no way to explain the pain of losing a child to homicide. But being in a space that is safe, where you can say all of the things that may shock someone that has not lived with this experience, will take some of that burden off your heart and off your shoulders. So I invite you to come walk with us. Come join Mothers in Charge. I promise that we will do the best that we can do to make the road a little less bumpy.
Thank you. Tamar, if you are a young person, you know, in Chicago or elsewhere, and you just need someone to just handle you with care and with love, you know, and just let you know that you matter, what would you say to them to keep going?
I would say, find me. Find me. Find Michelle. Find Charito. Find you. Find the people out there that do care about them, because there are people that do care about them. They are out there. Find them. And those people are normally a very bright light. If you ask, I'm sure you will be directed to them. Find them. And I would say to mothers, what you waiting for? If you haven't lost a kid, you should be making more noise than anybody right now. You should be fighting harder than anybody right now, because nobody wants to go through the pain of losing a child. No one wants to have to live without that. So right now is when you need to be as active as you're ever going to get. Yeah. You have so much to fight for, but you got to get in the fight in order to be a part of the fight. So there's something you can do, and now is the time to do it.
Thank you. Charito, if I am someone in the Kensington community or the immigrant community who feels unseen and unheard and ignored, what would you say tonight to me, to them?
To them, I will stop them. I will talk to them. I will try to find out what is their necessity, what is it they're looking for, and I will direct them to where to get that help, or I will walk them myself and I will help them to find the resources until they, you know, get whatever they need. And that's what I've been doing forever. So that's an easy question. help them. Never say no. I never have a no. And if I don't know, I will knock every single door. I will call every single phone number that I know. And I will call a lot of people and just to find out how can I better serve them and how can I help them.
Thank you. I will turn it over to our Executive Director, Tanya, to go ahead and close us out. Thank you, ladies, for joining us. Tanya?
Thank you so much for joining us. And I just want to put the plug out there for the office. You know, I agree. Somebody put something in the chat about police, you know, offices. And I know Tamar talked about her experience. And sometimes we don't get it right, but we're going to try, right? The one thing we're going to say to you is we're going to try, right? And if we need to have that little private conversation on the side, like what y'all doing, what y'all up to, we can have that. But you have an executive director that has a heart for families. In New Orleans, I helped support a group called Families Overcoming Injustice, all of who had loved ones killed by the New Orleans Police Department. And that group was able to do tremendous, tremendous work. And I actually still work with the mothers there. And I'm actually planning a retreat with those mothers this sometime in the fall. So you have a executive director has a heart for families. So call us and we will figure out how to work with you, how to help you get what needs to be done. And so I just am so grateful, just very humbled that you three women are walking the earth. I'm just so humbled by the three of you and the tremendous work that you're doing. So please reach out and Tamar, I know you all in Chicago, but you got friends in Philly. So reach out to us.
I travel. I travel.
All right. There we go. We heard it. Y'all heard it right here. So thank you so much on behalf of the Citizens Police Oversight Commission. And please, we will continue to have more events. I don't know, Director Grimmage, if you want to give a few shout outs for some upcoming events that we're having, but please, we want to hear from you. We want to figure out how we can support you here in Philadelphia and to get the outcomes that you want, because one of the things that all three of you have really talked about is community-led policing. We talk about community policing, but a lot of times the community should be leading because y'all know what you need. So please help us figure that out. And I'm going to see if we can just maybe announce 1 or 2 upcoming events and then look for us soon in a neighborhood near you.
Yes, yes. Everyone, please join us on June 4th at our commissioner meeting. But also I did want to mention we are having a toiletry drive right now. And all of the items that we are collecting goes to support survivors of human trafficking and domestic violence. There are a lot of organizations in Philadelphia that are benefiting from the items that we're collecting. There are donation locations and in the building that CPOC is in, 1515 Arch, and then a few around the city. And so I think the link is in the chat for our Amazon wish list if anyone wants to get anything, and also just information about where you can drop stuff off and some of the items that we need. So please support that if you are able to. And until then, we will see you next time. Be safe, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
A lovely
Thank you
evening.
for having us. Thank you.
Evening.